Welcome everyone to the Caleb Can't Read Midnight Hour, where we're going to play you all the slow jam R&B hits from the 60s, 70s, and, of course, the 80s. I'm your host, Jordan Rabel.
Jordan, this is not why I bought this shit. Get the paper. It's the middle of the day. I got shit to do. All right.
Listen to this.
I know.
Buttery smooth.
I know. Play it off. But it would have been cooler if we just didn't say anything. Now
I just need to find an emulator that makes me sound like Barry White, though. I think that would also really help.
I don't know.
Our listener base would go up.
Is that going to take the cough away? Because I think that would help a lot. Good. No. You leaned away. We'll see if the new mics pick up like all the stuff getting dislodged from your chest every time, too.
It's going to hear me. It's going to hear every bit of phlegm, and it's going to hear me moistening my lips every single fucking time.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, yeah. And with your headset, you can hear it directly, couldn't you?
Hey. Dude. I'm not wearing the right pants for that. You're going to make me uncomfortable. All right?
That's why I said go a size up. You'll grow into them. All right, so you're going to figure out who this is about 3 words in.
This is going to be embarrassing if I don't.
Caleb Terrence. No.
No, my old MySpace app!
I'm really happy that MySpace just fucking wiped away everything. Did? Oh yeah, because it's like the new band. It's the new Bandcamp now, or I mean, it's been that for a while. But basically, they erased everything, and now it's like only for bands. So there's bands still using MySpace and shit.
Okay, I don't know why.
But no, all of our shit is gone. Thank
It's just a bunch of creepy pop punk band guys.
Oh my god.
MySpace.
Yeah, essentially. I'm sure fucking Job for a Cowboy's still on there.
Oh god.
That's how they got their following. All right, well, let's begin, shall we? Howard Phillips Lovecraft.
Who?
Whomst was born August 20th, 1890, in his family home in Providence, Rhode Island.
Oh. Okay, so sorry to interrupt you.
Mm-hmm.
No, okay. If we're doing Lovecraft, same rules as Harper Lee episode. Same rules.
Yeah.
Okay.
And same exceptions will also apply.
No. Remember, that was the rules, that there's no fucking exceptions.
Right, there was no exceptions for Harper Lee, and it especially will go double for just somebody who's a racist ass.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, if there's somebody who is really, truly in the shit, and it takes away from context or something, somehow, that might be one thing.
I mean, he was racist enough for it to even be like, people at the time were like, bro.
Yes, exactly. He hated other white people depending on just random things about you. Just, I mean, sure, people were Irish at the time, not like they are now, but
like Italian was too dark for him.
He hated that. Oh yeah. I'm sure the word mulatto got thrown around a lot.
He's like, oh,
delicious cookies though.
Milano. Shut up, read.
His father, Winfield, was a traveling salesman, and his mother, Sarah, came from a well-to-do family due to her father's business ventures. By the way, her father's name is Whipple. Just had to throw that out there. Now, Winfield wasn't in the picture for very long. You see, Winfield had been doing and saying strange things, quote-unquote, for about a year before some sort of incident occurred while on a business trip in a Chicago hotel. We're not exactly sure what it was, but it got Winfield committed to the Butler Hospital in Providence, still in use to this day. That was in 1893 when Howard was just 2 years old. Winfield eventually died in the asylum on July 19th, 1898. Don't want to screw up the date. This will be on the test. Spending the last 5 years of his life there. The cause was late-stage syphilis, of which there wouldn't be a cure for another 7 years in 1905.
How you catch that again?
Usually, I mean, STDs.
Yeah, isn't that...
But honestly, it's bloodborne, essentially. Not... sorry, I hate to, Reddit or Among Us trigger you.
I totally...
But the fact that I use the word bloodborne, but it is a pathogen.
I know what you meant. And I don't want to talk about the game right now.
But Bloodborne's Lovecraftian, right?
I know. We're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to it.
What connections?
But not yet.
Now, Howard's grandpappy Whipple, the businessman, encouraged Howard's love of reading, but showed him that not all stories had to be classical poetry and Victorian smut. No, he showed him tales of terror and stories about monsters. Whipple quickly became a father figure to Howard. When Whipple would go off to faraway lands in Europe looking for mining prospects, he would bring back all sorts of weird shit for Howard, inventing tales of what he saw when he was over there and the creatures he would hear about,
man.
which Howard's mom Sarah was not particularly thrilled about.
Yeah, how old is Howard at this point?
At this point, he's about 5. You know,
he's like 5, dude. Okay, yo, who the fuck shows 5-year-old kids horror stories and strange artifacts and tells them spooky stories? That's fucked
honestly
up.
though. I mean, if he's looking for like mining prospects, where could he have fucking gone? Spain?
I don't know, but that's the
this
thing.
is called tapas. Like,
You think a 5-year-old's gonna be like, hang on now, this isn't possible.
well, hey,
Like,
Grandpappy Whipple, you're being a bit racist.
look, Mr.
now.
Whipple, please be reasonable here. Like, no, he's just gonna have the shit scared out of him. You're gonna fuck the kid up.
Well, yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like at a certain point in his life, too, he's probably like, ah, fuck, I forgot to bring something back from Italy. Like, there's this rock in the garden.
Yep, boom.
Like,
Yeah.
it took this out of a man's ass. Like, yeah.
I mean, I tell any child I have to interact with, I just tell them that I live in a dumpster and just go from there and just start making shit up, and they believe me like every time.
I mean, practically, you can prove it, too, though.
I mean, yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I look the part.
Yeah, you smell the part.
Yeah.
So Winfield's institutionalization led to Sarah always keeping Howard by her side. She totally helicoptered this poor kid. I mean, when you held young Howard's hand, she made you stoop to his level so you wouldn't pop his arm out of his socket. And then Sarah's 2 sisters moved in as well, due to Sarah's ever-growing paranoia of being alone. When Howard was around 5, his grandmother died, leading to his mom and aunts constantly wearing these long black dresses and just moping around the house
This
like
kid
ghosts.
is so fucked. This kid is so... There's no chance.
I see nothing wrong with this. He's in a giant house. He's got ghost-like, gaunt, family members just crying in the dark corners. And his grandpappy's bringing back fucking, like, knives and shit. There's nothing wrong with this.
All right, is this like one of those bits where, like, a source of the information from his life is mostly him? Because that would make sense. That this is all, like, a little bitly outlandishly spooky.
I don't know.
Like, this sounds like a fucking Lovecraft short story.
To be fair, we know where his old place was and everything. Like, you can go to it and say, like, birthplace of H.P. Lovecraft, famous racist, and shit like that. But, like, but yeah, I mean, I believe him. Like, even if he was the one saying it, yeah, I'm sure his creepy fucking aunts dressing in long black clothes in his giant house and just walking around like you think you're alone, and then all of a sudden somebody passes by a doorway just like, it's like, I can't masturbate anywhere. Fucking ghosts everywhere. So this led to a string of nightmares where Howard would be haunted by what he called night gaunts, dark creatures inspired not just by his creepy family, but the dark illustrations of Gustave Doré, that his grandfather would show him as well.
And it's the same shit as when I'm awake.
Dude, I fucking hate that. Every time I'm getting a bad night's sleep, my dreams are always about me going into work and talking about how little sleep I got.
I don't want to do this.
Okay, I got it. I'm just saying.
I know. I hate it.
Why do you hate your dreams
Look at
so
my
much?
face.
Why do you hate dreams so much?
My dreams.
What are you regressing?
I never remember my dreams.
Don't start crying.
I regress. What am I regressing? I mean, there's clearly an alcohol problem I need to deal with, so that might be contributing. Regressing? No.
No, are you kidding? I'm graduating.
I have ascended.
I am the liquor. Now, Howard was deeply enamored in Bullfinch's mythology, a collection of the most popular tales in mythology. But seeing some of the similarities between these stories and Christianity, seeing how they were clearly inspired by older tales, became a staunch atheist at the ripe old age of 5. It was also around this time that Howard found a book on human anatomy in his family library, where he learned about reproduction. Seeing how fucking gross it is, Howard pretty much became asexual right then and there as well. That's exactly the kind of classmate you want to have to pick on. He's pale, he is gaunt, he hates boobs, and he's a fucking atheist.
Hates boobs. Found his uncle's greasy porn box and was just like, ah!
Yeah, this book on human anatomy. It's really
Or
weird.
so he says.
It's really weird how it was called the Rammer Jammer. Like,
Odd.
Now, Howard's school attendance was pretty damn spotty. Sarah would take him out of school constantly saying he was ill. No specifics were ever made about what was wrong with him, so it remains to be seen if Howard was ever actually sick. But on the other hand, just look at him.
What's wrong with him? Fucking just look at him. Yeah, all right. Okay.
He's offending the other children for being ugly.
He's distracting the other children. He's too pale.
The teachers run out of chalk to throw at him. I mean, we're running out of school supplies here. I wouldn't be surprised if, he was a fucking weakling, though. But, I mean, we don't really know. We just know he was quiet. He was one of those,
there's no way his mom let him out to be physically active if she was, like, telling people to, like, stoop over to be sure to pull his arm out of the fucking socket. Yeah. Like, when they give him a handshake.
I just want to be over there and start, like, pulling him around, just be like, it's fine, see? It's fine. And just yanking this toddler around.
Who the fuck gives children handshakes? You just give them who the fuck does that? Like,
ta-da. Like,
nice to meet you, Howard. Like, just grab his hand.
Listen, goddamn me, just crush the bones in his hand. Just
Like, of course he doesn't like handshakes. No children like handshakes.
He does seem like kind of the don't come to school tomorrow kind of kid, though. So, I mean,
I don't. No. Somebody that bad, it's gone completely. Like he's past that. He's unfuckwithable. Like there's no level of asshole like bully that like.
Well, he's there like a dozen days out of the school year.
If you see a kid like that getting the crap kicked out of him, you're just gonna be like, dude, come on, that one. Like really, that one.
Like, come on, man. All the handicapped kids go over and kick him. Like, it's not.
Like, dude, we're kids. I don't know. We don't know if this is contagious or not. Like, seriously, you're endangering the rest of the class. I hear
his dad died of syphilis. Well, how do you get that? I hear it was bloodborne.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
Anyway, it was while he was home that Howard found an interest in astrology. In fact, his classmates would say that he was very withdrawn, but if you shared an interest in astrology, he'd get all excited and then have you come over and check out his super rad fucking telescope. Like,
yeah. You want to know what else scares the shit out of me?
The night sky.
Fuck, Howard.
Like, well, I mean, what else are you gonna do? You're not allowed to make friends. Your mom has told you as much. Like, fuck you, Howard. You're not making friends.
If I gave my kid a telescope and was like, here you go, little buddy, and then he was like, oh man, this also scares the shit out of me, and I'm gonna tell you guys all about it. You're like, god damn it, kid.
Just like, okay, look at that. There's recently divorced Miss Johnson across the street. Her blinds are open. Just watch her undress. Just, oh fuck, ew, like
disgusting.
Don't you know that I'm asexual and atheist? Like,
damn, kid.
Well, one by one, Sarah's sisters got married and left Lovecraft Manor. It was a fucking manor. Throughout a series of failed business ventures, Grandpa Whipple's business began to crumble, and the hired staff had to be slowly let go. When Howard was 13, Whipple suffered a stroke and passed away, leaving Howard and his mother alone. That same year, as he was beginning high school, Sarah was forced to move them into a small duplex. Howard was in such a depression, he said he just didn't get the point of living. How old is he? He's 13? Jesus 13? Christ. Well, I guess that makes sense.
Well, honestly, what you just described was a lot better than whatever happened in between 4 to 5. That was a lot. So 5 to 13, like, that's like, what, that was like 2-3 things that happened?
I guess, but I mean, that's like, not
bad.
No, but 13 and saying you don't get the point of living? Yeah, I get it. All right. That's fair. Just start dressing from Hot Topic and go about your life. That's fine. No. Oh, liar.
No, I pictured Hot Topic now.
Oh, okay.
Remember, it doesn't work the same way as it
I was
used
like,
to
come
when
on.
you're that age, man. It's not.
Two band shirts for $20. That was, come on. Everyone.
I mean, yeah, until someone found out that you got it from Hot Topic.
I know. And then you just had to lie
about
it.
And be like, this lie.
Yeah.
It's not. Like, no, I got it from Target. Oh, fuck!
No, that's, oh, man. That's just a middle-class Walmart. Fuck.
How's Target worse? I don't get it.
Now that he was in high school, he was able to suffer mental breakdowns of his own, without his mother's help. Howard more than likely suffered from something called Sydenham's chorea, which causes you...
Say one more time.
It's called Sydenham's chorea, Are you fucking kidding me? You don't know Sydenham's choreo? Well, let me tell you, you dumb bastard.
Okay.
So it causes you to just make a quick, sudden movement with your limbs involuntarily.
Why not?
So for instance, Howard's schoolmates...
How could you be an atheist when God clearly hates you this much?
I did this. So, for instance, Howard's schoolmate said he'd be prone to just sitting at his desk and then just jumping out of his chair for no reason.
Oh, no. No.
To be fair, though, like, what if he
Andy's a fucking spaz.
Yeah, like, what if he just saw, like, a fucking, like, ball of lint roll across and just, just...
No, remember, it's random. There's no rhyme or there's no trigger.
To them, they don't know. This whole bastard got spooked by everything. Eraser dust! So this, of course, made him the subject to ridicule, causing him to call out from school a lot just on his own. On some days, he would close all the blinds and suffer nervous breakdowns in the dark. This would be sadder if we didn't know what kind of a piece of shit he'd become.
I mean, like, Jesus. I mean, I'm sticking with that though. Like, he did not have a chance.
No, there's no way in hell.
No way,
dude. If he didn't become a writer, I don't know what the fuck he would have done.
Dude, there's no.
I'm in web development.
You don't
I go outside and I poke the spiders with sticks. They'll develop webs.
There's no way you would have like a year 5 like that with things progressively getting worse, and then you would just like come out of it like fine. You know what? I just needed a little bit of time away from my family, and then I got a little more normal. No.
Yeah, in the dark in the corner. Despite all of this, though, Howard still had friends, surprisingly, and he did well in school, even saying that he quite enjoyed high school, actually. However, it was towards graduation that Howard would suffer his largest breakdown yet. I mean, he had a major mental collapse, and although we don't know the exact circumstances surrounding the event, we know it was a big enough problem for him that he didn't actually graduate.
Guys, I think something's wrong with Howard. Well, yeah. No, like more wrong.
Oh, fuck. Are guns invented yet? He didn't graduate high school and thus had to drop from his early acceptance to Brown University. According to S.T. Joshi, the leading scholar in Lovecraftian work, he believes it may have been because Howard was actually just shit at math, and they don't allow you to be an astronomer if you're shit at math. Oh, please.
Ooh. Thank you, brother.
But regardless of all his mental breakdowns, it was in high school that Howard wrote his first 2 short stories. I won't go too into detail for these stories because, well, they're boring. They're written by a 14-year-old, though. But it is, of course, interesting to see these first glimpses into Lovecraftian horror, so here we go. The first one is called The Beast in the Cave. It's about a man who becomes lost in the Mammoth Cave system in Kentucky when he's separated by his guide. His torch goes out, and he hears steps approaching him in the pitch dark. I don't know if he was trying to be like all British and call a flashlight a torch, or if he literally meant a torch.
I mean, based on anything that I've seen, even remotely influenced by this guy, we're going to go with torch. We're just going to go with
fire
that.
Torch?
We're just going to go
Okay.
with because that's spookier. Okay.
Yeah, it's stupid, though. But,
Yeah.
Okay,
of course
14.
it's
He's
fucking
14.
stupid.
He's
It's
14.
Lovecraft.
All right. Thinking it to be a mountain lion, he bashes it in the head with a rock. When his guide discovers the narrator again, he brings his still-lit torch towards the body of the animal, only discover it's a dying, pale, deformed man who got lost in the caves long ago.
Yeah, it sounds stupid when you outline it like that, but that one's not bad. Like,
just watch the Descent.
I didn't know he wrote it when he was 14. That's actually kind of impressive. Like,
no, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, what did you write when you were 14?
Fuck, I'm not gonna go into that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, actually, I regret asking you that. I don't want to see any of your writing, if it's anything like this.
It was better.
I've been copying Wikipedia pages since I was 11, thank you.
It was a bit edgelordy, but you know what? It was at least decent for the age. I was reading a lot of Chuck Palahniuk at the time, so
I wasn't writing about a bunch of stupid fucking cave monsters. Fuck you, Caleb.
It was about the deformity of man's mentality and the Nietzsche-esque.
Oh, wow,
no, I'm kidding. No, fuck, man.
All right, What's next? What's next? What we got?
Well, the other story is called The Alchemist. It's about a nobleman long, long ago who put a dark wizard to death for making alchemy, specifically looking to create the elixir of life and become immortal. After his execution, the wizard's son, Charles, places a curse on the nobleman and all of his descendants, saying that they will always meet an untimely demise. Generations have gone by, and the narrator of the story is approaching his 32nd birthday. 32 is the age that all of his ancestors have met their untimely end. So over time, the castle that the narrator lives in has slowly crumbled, tower by tower. His last manservant, Pierre, dies from sickness, leaving him all alone in the castle. On the eve of his 32nd birthday,
Spooky castle.
Spooky. The narrator discovers a trap door in one of the oldest ruins of his home. Under it is a tunnel leading to a locked door. It's just fucking... Oh, okay, this is where the sex slaves went. But as he turns around, the door slowly opens with a dark figure standing in it. The intruder tries to kill our narrator, but he kills his attacker first. It's none other than Pierre, his supposedly dead manservant, who reveals in his dying breaths that he is actually Charles, the son of the Dark Wizard, who managed to finish his father's work on the elixir of life and has been killing the narrator's family for generations. Oh!
Yeah, it's I don't know.
I mean, you know, it's like his fucking the thought is there. He's an ideas man, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, clearly from what...
Yeah. So, it was after his failure to complete school that Howard became kind of a Boo Radley character. He felt that he was so...
No.
What?
It was out of the gate Boo Radley character. He did not become a Boo Radley character later. That was immediately the case.
Yeah, kind of. I mean,
yeah, no, like...
There was certainly a nurture winning over nature aspect to this, for sure.
No stabbing the dad, none of that shit required. No, right there.
All right, go put shit in that tree, son.
Just born fucked. No chance. Like...
He felt that he was so ugly that he was practically a monster himself, and hid himself away at home so no one would have to see him, only walking outside at night. But here's the kicker, his mom agreed with him. She openly talked about how hideous Howard was. When people would tell her that wasn't the case, figuring Sarah was just being like strangely modest about her son's appearance, she would actually defend her opinion. Like, no, look at him.
Look at him. Oh, God.
Look at that fucking weak chin. Like, this is an ugly boy.
He was a weird looking dude.
He was.
Everybody's seen that photo.
Oh, yeah. There's like one picture of him that just like kind of... Yeah. He looks like somebody like put a fucking whoopee cushion under his seat, and he's just like, oh, that wasn't me. You know? I'm surprised he didn't have a heart attack if somebody made a fart sound near him.
We know it wasn't you. We're just laughing because you look the way you do.
Wow, Howard, was that you? No, it wasn't. Aww. I don't know, guys. Sounds like Howard's lying. I'm not lying. Stop it. You're being mean.
This is why I don't like leaving the dark room.
No one can smell me in the dark. It was during this reclusive phase, I don't know if that was a phase though, that Howard did nothing but read about astrology and become enamored in pulp fiction magazines. Howard published a few poems himself. Luckily, a good chunk of these are lost because they were highly racist. One story was about the year 2000, where immigrants have taken over. Man.
No.
It's just fiction becoming reality, huh? My God, I can't wait. I want to get his voting records. Like,
don't let any dumb people know about that story.
You know, he is a pretty good writer.
I don't want that.
I have thought about like taking like just, you know how like if you're gonna do like a history of punk rock bands or something, maybe you would be able to do Screwdriver and talk about like how these openly racist punk band came to be. I've also looked into it before though, where I was like, okay, who's the racist writer? And I found this guy who wrote a whole bunch. he wrote
King of the racists.
Yeah, dude, he wrote all these fucking dystopian novels about like black people taking over the planet, and now the white people are minorities. And like it's just all this shit from the 70s. Unfortunately, he's not dead, or I would maybe delve into him because I find it so stupid. I kind of love it. I'm like,
of course he's not dead.
But my problem though,
what is it about like being that level of piece of shit that just like keeps you kicking?
I don't know.
Like, have you noticed that?
Yeah. Isn't rage supposed to be bad for you? Like
I don't know. Maybe.
Why are you not dead? I guess because it's sad if you do drugs alone, whereas it's better if you do it socially with friends. And you're not going to have friends if you're a fucking piece of shit like that, you know?
Yeah.
But also, my biggest thing, though, is I'm not going to find, like, audiobooks of those books while I'm, like, at work or something. And I'd hate for that to be in my search history. So I would have to order those books and read them from some shitty little, like, you know, GeoCities website.
Like, online, what that would immediately do to, like, anything recommended to you.
Oh, look, it came with a free hood. No. Like, God
it's
damn
like,
it.
Why am I getting all this weird hentai shit?
Oh, fuck, man.
And alt-right videos. Why do they come at the same time, I wonder?
See that? I leaned away.
Good.
Anyway,
I'm glad the mic still picks it up now.
I wouldn't exactly say this is where H.P. Lovecraft got his start, as no one remembers or even saved copies of these poems. But Lovecraft did start to get known in some of these pulp magazines, not because of the stories, but because he would send in letters that were printed in like the editorial section of these magazines in the back, where you would like write in and talk about how much you loved a story or something. But he said that a popular writer at the time who was constantly getting published at this time, Fred Jackson, sucked. And this started a nearly 1-year editorial nerd battle between geeks furiously writing back and forth in the magazines. Like, no, he's not. Yeah, no, he's got a point.
This is advanced toilet stall.
Man, the longest scroll I've ever seen. I really like it when bars don't paint over the graffiti. It's really nice to just see, like, it ends up like a message board.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's...
I've seen,
or like... more, that's what everything like that is at its base level.
Yeah, no,
like...
I remember seeing a thing at the top that was like, McCain 2008, and then, like, it's still going on. Like,
it's just fucking dumpster takes, swastikas, and cocks.
Pretty much.
Like...
I do remember a huge, glorious, like, arching cock that was going over a urinal, and it said the Wet Cock Bandits. And I was like, all right, this is art. They better not paint over this.
That and like every Trump supporter sitting down and then like immediately shaking the paint Sharpie like, yeah, this is the best part of the day. Like every bathroom, just like, dude, stop it. Like,
did you know that swastikas were actually a Buddhist symbol? Okay, shut up.
If you see somebody with like a knife clipped onto their pants going into the bathroom.
And they're from Salem.
Oh, yeah.
I do remember that work one time, like, hey, I can't open this package. I don't got anything. Hey, Emery, you're from Salem. You got a knife on you? And he's just like, shut up. And he pulls out a knife. Like, now, although ultimately this was a lame little flame war in the editorial section, a man named Edward Doss saw the value in Lovecraft's writing through his letters. Not his, shitty little racist poems, but he saw that he could write letters. Now, Doss was the head editor of the UAPA, the United Amateur Press Association, and formerly its first president. Lovecraft became an amateur journalist for about the next decade, occasionally printing short stories of his own, and eventually became president of the UAPA himself. It was during this time that he published what would become his first story in Lovecraftian lore, or what we know today as the Cthulhu mythos. This is the story of Dagon. So
now we're getting into the shit that's, fun enough to go over that we'll overlook the...
Yeah, we're not going to talk about his cat. So
No, we are not.
No, we are not.
And a cat named... Whoa! Whoa!
No.
Whoa! Jesus!
Couldn't even go like, the man from Chad or anything like that. Like you just went there.
Bam!
Bam! Wha-bam! Racism.
I think it's funny. All right, brother.
So the story of Dagon is from the perspective of a man working on a cargo ship during World War I when it's captured by Germans in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, which I'm sure he probably thought was scary too, just like, ew, Germans, you know, like... He and the rest of the crew are taken hostage, but it's quick before the German soldiers become complacent and often drunk, finding the captured crew to be no real threat. I don't know if that was him being racist or not.
I mean, is it... I mean, wait, where's he from again?
Who? Lovecraft?
Yeah.
Rhode Island?
He's American?
Yeah.
Oh. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that level of racist, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The New England racist.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's different than backwoods racist. Now, the narrator escapes on a lifeboat in the middle of the night with no one noticing. With no real direction, the narrator expects to drift aimlessly in the ocean until he starves. Now, the reason this story is... No, I'm kidding. That's not the end of it. However, one night, he's thrown from the boat, finding himself on a beach that appears endless in every direction, as if the ground came up from under him. The ground is like black tar, slimy and unbelievably foul. The narrator believes it's a large island-sized chunk of land that's been shot up from the bottom of the ocean during a volcanic eruption.
Ah!
My empire of shit.
Shut no.
And he has no idea which direction to go in, but regardless of where he goes, he's going to have to wait 3 days for the ground to actually dry out before he can walk on it. Now, after trekking for 2 days, he comes upon a hill from which he should be able to spot the coastline where he can hopefully signal passing ships. But once he's up there, he realizes he's actually at the lip of a giant canyon. Upon closer inspection, he sees a giant white monolith at the bottom. Out of curiosity and, probably desperation, he makes his way there. This monolith is a huge white stone depicting strange hieroglyphs all over, but everything on it is sea-based. Squids, fishes, eels, and humanoid figures with webbed feet.
Ooh.
Whoa. As it floated in from Alabama. As he describes
sea
it...
monkeys.
Quote, wide and flabby lips, glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. One thing the narrator observes...
fishy stuff.
Yeah, it's fish sticks.
Fishmen.
One thing the narrator observes is how out of proportion these fish people are. One of the hieroglyphs has them killing a whale, almost the same size as each other. I like that he's there and just like, this art sucks.
Hey man, what's up? What have you been working on? Fishmen! Oh, fuck, okay, God. I'm so sorry I asked you.
All of a sudden, large, scaly arms wrap around the monolith and a giant head bows over the top of it. The narrator says what happens next is a blur. He jetted the fuck out of the canyon, ran back to his boat, and remembers there being a storm before he wakes up in a San Francisco hospital. Apparently, he's been found afloat in the middle of the ocean and brought in. Now, he knows what he saw, but upon... What?
Why? No, sorry.
What?
It's just funny that he was that specific there and why it happened to be like San Francisco if he was just adrift anywhere randomly would have hit somewhere on the west coast of the United States.
Where are you? Venezuela. Like, oh, thank God you have socialized medicine. I can't afford shit.
God.
Now, he knows what he saw, but upon asking the doctor if he thinks there's a possibility something like the Mesopotamian half-man, half-fish god Dagon could have ever existed and being met only with laughter, decides to hold his tongue. Just a weird fucking thing to bring up to a doctor.
Who didn't like to make people laugh. Apparently.
I really like this homeless man. Excuse me, doctor, do you think that the Mesopotamian half-man, half-fish god Dagon could possibly exist?
Well, you can't say crazy shit like that to them because if they think you're homeless, they're going to be worried you're not going to pay. So keep your fucking mouth shut.
Nurse, go get that IV out of him and just let him out, please.
Go ahead. One of the doors in buildings that just open up to, like, the outside from top levels. They're just, like, funneling people who can't pay out.
It's actually a great way to not get hit with a bill. Just be like, all right, so we gave you some aspirin. We gave you some aspirin, that'll be a $2,000 bill. How do we get in touch with you? My name's Crazy Jonathan, and I'm homeless. Fuck you, goodbye.
God.
When he's discharged from the hospital, he's plagued with nightmares. Quote, I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy
stop thinking
bed.
about the deep sea.
Problem solved.
Just move further from the sea. Just go.
How did you end up in Wyoming? Well, let me tell you a tale. It's really weird to find a sea captain in a Wyoming
I was
bar.
terrified of the ocean, so I moved to the Midwest so I could manage a McDonald's franchise.
The problem with moving to the Midwest, a lot of Germans. So,
I mean, yeah.
I have to assume all of his characters are racist as fuck as well. So, I mean, what do you do?
Yeah.
Quote, I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed, worshipping their ancient stone idols and carving their own detestable likeness on submarine obelisks of water-soaked granite.
On Doo-Doo Mountain.
Honestly, the fucking hieroglyphs would get, like, swept away by the water current, even underwater, if it's over granite.
Not if they're spooky and magical made by fish people, they won't.
They just lick on it afterwards, and it gives it a nice little clear nail polish sheen. Yeah.
I mean, let's assume there's one fish man who just, kind of like trots around and, just maintains them. Why not?
Curator.
Like with all
I'm the curator fishman.
Yeah, I mean, is that too outlandish for what we're talking about? No, it's fine. Like,
I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows to drag down in their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind.
the sea.
Of a day when the land shall sink, and the dark ocean floor shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium.
No. I never want to watch that movie again.
What, Dagon?
No. The one with Willem Dafoe getting
Lighthouse?
suggestively gay with dude from Twilight.
It's a great movie.
I'm
honestly.
never watching it again. It's the manliest thing I've ever seen. It's just yelling, hitting, and then masturbating.
And just masturbation. Just a ton of jerking off.
A bunch of farts, and it's
honestly
awful. Like
I don't watch the movie because it's like good or thrilling. I mean, I like the movie, but I'm not watching it like, I'm hoping to be spooked. I watch it for certain scenes. Like, I love Willem Dafoe just yelling at Edward Cullen about his fucking, like, mashed potatoes or whatever the fuck it was.
Whatever the hell is going on in that fucking movie. Like.
Whatever the fuck happens in that movie. Well, it's here that we learn we're not reading one man's account of what happened through a journal entry, but the narrator's suicide note. As he finishes his letter, he says he can hear a slippery shuffling at the door and a large webbed hand cast over his window. It's honestly, that's probably just ugly Jeremy from next door. Just like, you got any soap I can borrow?
Once again, move away from the ocean.
I'm all wet. Open your door, sir. You got a towel to dry me off?
Oh, stop it.
It's raining and I'm getting all slippery in these puddles.
You sound like a Mighty Boosh character, and I want you to stop.
It's a good thing that I can't say I've ever ripped it off because I've never seen it.
You should. It's great.
Nah.
It's fucking hilarious.
Nah. Now, people...
Fuck you. You made me watch... What was that last night?
Oh, Tetsuo, the Iron Man.
Fuck you. If you make me watch that shit, I'm making you watch Mighty Boosh.
I'm gonna go in two different directions here and say that's not fair because Tetsuo was incredible, and also that is fair because look at it. Like,
that was awful.
You called it sexual assault Eraserhead.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Movie's fucking terrific.
All right, we're getting off track. My bad. Sorry.
I'm gonna start a new podcast arguing with you about Tetsuo. God damn it, it's art.
Objectively, yes. Don't continue.
Now, people argue that the story Dagon is not actually a part of the Cthulhu mythos at all, because the creature in Dagon isn't something that Lovecraft created, citing that Dagon is actually an ancient Mesopotamian god of fertility. He just so happens to be a merman. Thing is, Lovecraft scholars believe Lovecraft never called the giant creature Dagon. He was just comparing the monster to Dagon, because Lovecraft was trying to be poetic. I do like, though, that it's a god of fertility. What if it was Dagon? And when he's, like, bowing over this giant thing, he's like,
thick as
welcome. I heard your ass clapping from down that mountain. And this is something, unfortunately...
clapping. Emitting from the abyss.
The clapping. And this is something unfortunately common in Lovecraft's writing. He's just not that good of a writer. Quote, "It would be trite and not wholly accurate to say that no human pen could describe it, but one may properly say that it could not be vividly visualized by anyone whose ideas of aspect and contour are too closely bound up with the common life forms of this planet and of the 3 known dimensions." Fuck, buddy.
Okay, man, I get.
I know adjectives are a thing, but goddamn.
When he describes the undescribable, and I get that that's, like, the point of, like, his spooky shit, like, I know it wouldn't be fun and it would be boring as fuck if he was just like, yeah, it's unimaginable. You can't describe it. It's indescribable. But, like, he goes so fucking far off in the other direction.
There are literally,
like,
there's already a word that says
like,
indescribable.
Fuck, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. Like,
there's already a word that says indescribable.
Dude, I understood that this was incomprehensible 2 chapters ago. Please.
Like, do you know what makes indescribable monsters fun in, like, TV or movies or books or whatever? Is not focusing on the creature itself. It's fear of the unknown. You don't know what it's going to do. You look at how it's devastating the things around you. Like, that's how you create horror. That's good horror. But you don't need to fucking... It's so indescribable. Let me describe it. Like, no, shut the fuck up.
Let me tell you how much I couldn't see it. Like...
Which we'll get to probably on the next episode, is actually the second part of this will go into the Dunwich Horror, where the monster is literally invisible. Still a great tale, but yeah. Anyways, America makes their call to arms in 1917, entering World War I. Lovecraft was surprisingly supportive of America's involvement, even calling for action in his magazine columns long before we even thought about going to war. But it's not like it was for anything noble or something like that. No, he was more concerned that England, the whitest of nations, was going to be overtaken by lesser races, like Germans or Polish people or...
That's an interesting racist take. I haven't heard that one before.
Look, you got your white, you got your brown, you got your black. But in those whites, there's whiter whites and there's slightly grayer whites.
And those are the races. The rest I don't even consider human.
Yes.
Apparently. Like, what are you talking about? Of course not. That is off the table.
Yeah, he had a big boner for Anglo. He would always call everything that was pure Anglo-Saxon. Which is like,
Ew.
as somebody, yeah, it's like, let me tell you, as somebody who descended from Anglo-Saxons primarily, they're not great.
Like, just old-timey racists didn't even want to hang out with this guy. They were just like, Jesus, bud.
Yeah, it's like, dude, you can, like...
look, man, you can't come hang with us because you're too unreasonable.
I don't think he ever made that venture to England. I could be wrong. I wrote this a long time ago, but honestly, if somebody just took his ass out to London and was just like, okay, have at it. Like, give him 2 days before he comes back and he's like, fucking hate it here. Please bring me back. Like... Anyway, Lovecraft actually put his money where his mouth was. He enlisted, but after the initial exam, he said, "My mother has threatened to go to any lengths, legal or otherwise, if I do not reveal all the ills which unfit me for the army." Which, I'm sure that they wouldn't have cared, look at him. He's ugly. 2, he jumps a lot. Like,
wait, for which war?
This was World War I.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a war of attrition. Yeah, if you can stop a bullet, you're fine. Like,
yeah, but they have to. Yeah, but he has to be able to, like, move into position to get shot. They're not gonna, like, have 4 dudes that are capable of carrying a weak dude to carry him in there. Like,
trust me, they had that first line already set up in their mind. They were like, "How tall is Johnny? 4 foot. Fuck. Put him with Regiment 1." Like. They had the real bullet stoppers. Like,
I can't run across a field into another trench. No, but you can stay here and get fucking just shelled to shit while the rest of us do stuff.
What you can do is, if the bullet doesn't kill you immediately, please lay across the barbed wire so that we can use you like a man bridge to at least get over that, you know?
I'll flop him over.
You know, it probably would have been great for, like, how weak he was, too. Just
Put me back in the dark!
Just, like, pick him up and throw him and just, ah! It's like that scene in Wonder Woman where she's going across no man's land, except it's just regular men just tossing Lovecraft around, just, you know?
I don't know. It might have been like. I mean, obviously that would have ended up terribly for him, but at the same time, like,
he would have died.
And of course, I'm not saying that this is that like a conflict like that is good in any way, but maybe a healthy change of perspective. Like, oh, you think the stars are scary? You have no fucking idea,
dude. Did you look at this mud?
Welcome.
People are literally drowning in mud.
Welcome to what the rest of humanity's getting up to when they're not, screeching behind curtains in the dark.
I can just imagine him just like, I was looking at Jupiter the other day, and it disturbed me. And just the guy next to him is just like, so like I was saying, Bill got his fucking hand blown off yesterday. We're gonna really need you to pick up the pace.
Okay, so me and the rest of the young men that are doing things necessary for our society to keep functioning, you little fucking weirdo, have some spooky stories for you too.
What are we shooting at, Germans? Oh God, Germans!
Fuck. Yeah.
It was towards the end of 1918 that his mother began acting strange. Not only would she have panic attacks in the middle of her strolls about town and forget where she was, she also believed she was seeing monsters creeping out from dark corners of the street. Unfortunately, this led to Sarah Lovecraft being committed in March of 1919 when Howard was only 28 years old. She was committed where else but to Butler Hospital, where her husband Winfield died 26 years before. Lovecraft would visit his mother often, but just speaking with her doctors after a short while, it was revealed that his mother would have to stay there indefinitely.
Fuck.
Just like the death of his grandfather, this sent Lovecraft into a spiraling depression where he just didn't see the point of living anymore. I think this is his third one. One when his grandfather Whipple died. One when he turned 13 and had to move to a smaller home. and now this, like.
It's a bummer if you build a life for yourself and then you have to live with your mom anyway.
It seems like he's really sad that his mom moved out. He's like, fuck, how am I going to cover rent? I don't have a job. I bitch and make flame wars over.
Who will tell me I'm frail and weak?
This ugly boy can't do anything.
This mirror bores me. I can't yell at myself convincingly enough.
To get Howard out of his rut, friends would invite him out to amateur writing conventions, where you can see all of your favorite pulp fiction writers. But all of this actually worked. Lovecraft was excited to write again, and it kicked off a whole slew of short stories that he later called the Dream Cycle, of which he would start writing about a place called the Dreamlands, which is another dimension that only Onironauts that have mastered the art of bending dreams to their own will can enter. Oh yeah, you love dreams. Do you know what an Onironaut is?
You just told me, didn't you? Or did I space out and pretend that you did? I don't know.
Well, for anyone out there who doesn't know, an Onironaut is somebody that can basically realize that they're in a dream and then basically have the willpower to do whatever the fuck they want. The best
I have
way
a defense mechanism where whenever somebody starts talking about dreams or anything like this, it automatically just kind of clicks it off.
I also noticed that you get real white knuckled in your fucking rage too, which is weird. Are you bending that? Are you bending the table? What are you doing?
Just beer bottle in my hand.
So I can't myself do this kind of shit. All that I've learned is how to tell when you're in a dream, which is you try to look at a clock and you can't read the time, or you try to read something and you can't read. And sometimes it'll wake me up. Other times I'll be like, oh, this means I could do whatever. Girls, come here. But it doesn't usually work.
That's a for you hobby.
It is.
That's not a tell people you do that hobby. Especially not
doesn't work. But what I will say is, so this is interesting. It has nothing to do with people dreaming necessarily. Okay. So look. Okay. So here's the thing. Have you heard of old hag syndrome? Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay. So people, in order to get fully, there's basically, instead of doing training and watching what you eat and all this boring other shit, you can do a thing with your sleep cycle where it's don't sleep for this many hours, go to sleep, wake up after this many hours, and basically it does this thing to your brain where it'll be trying to turn off the DMT and shit, and then eventually you just kind of fuck around with your brain so much over the course of a week that you do get to experience whatever the fuck you want in a dream, which is neat, except a lot of people do have sleep paralysis because of it, which leads to old hag syndrome. What'll happen is that people will wake up, but they can't move their body as if they're still in REM sleep, and their brain has not fully turned off the DMT. So you wake up, you can see your own
But
bed.
I thought that was just sleep paralysis.
That is sleep paralysis, yes. Yeah. You can see your whole room and everything that's going on. You just can't move your body. However, old hag syndrome, for whatever reason, it is common that people will see an old haggard woman show up and just start looking at him, which is creepy as fuck that it's always that. Like, that is terrifying. Luckily, Nicole's never had that, but she did have sleep paralysis with demons for quite a while, so.
Funsies.
Yeah.
Hey, Nicole, wake up. I am! Fuck!
So, in the Dreamlands, the locales are all the same to each dreamer, but they will look different to each person. You know what I mean? Like, there's a street, but it's got like 3 buildings, but the buildings look different to each person, but they are still interconnected, basically. People can even master the art of sleep and live entire lives there, only to wake up hours later in the real world. But you have to be careful, as you very much can die here as well, and you can die in the real world too in some cases.
Oh, so that's where Inception got the whole bit?
Fucking maybe. I've also heard that there's an old...
yeah, it's like the same thing.
No, I've heard that there's an old Scrooge McDuck comic that pretty much, like,
that's
detailed...
Speed, thank you.
Yeah, it like detailed like a lot of the stuff from Inception. People are like, is this coincidence? Like,
I think that's the source.
Could be.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't want to ask Christopher Nolan anything because he'll make me do cocaine and watch Tenet. I don't want to.
That doesn't sound fun to you? Like,
no, I hear Tenet sucks. I'm not going to watch it.
Yes, but cocaine is great.
Those two things might go together.
Yeah.
I'll just be like, can't we just watch Dunkirk? I'll be like, no, appreciate it. Like, I don't want to. There are many different creatures in the Dreamlands, one of which is the Night Gaunts, which inspired by his creepy aunties. Flying creatures that, if you remember, were inspired by his creeping morning aunties. One of the very real threats in the Dreamlands is a being called Nyarlathotep, also called the Crawling Chaos, who first appeared in the short story by the same name, Nyarlathotep, being one of the stories in the Dream Cycle series. Basically, Nyarlathotep is an ancient sadistic humanoid figure who basically acts as a recruiter for the different cults assigned to each of the gods in the Cthulhu mythos. We'll get there, we're not quite there yet, but basically, if you're still insistent that Dagon was not the beginning of the Cthulhu mythos, then the story you're looking for is the Nameless City. I do like that there's like a multi-level marketing dude out there in the dreams just like, listen, girl, all right, you want to work from home? Cthulhu wants you to work from home, all right? Just try to sell these berries, talk to all your friends, throw a little party, all right? It's not a pyramid scheme, it's a funnel. It's an upside-down pyramid.
It's not a pyramid scheme. Same definition, changing the word.
It's a multi-level marketing. It's... Come on, boss babe. Anyway, the narrator of The Nameless City is looking for a rumored lost city in the Arabian desert, eventually finding the beginnings of a room under the sand. While the room is large, it has entryways leading elsewhere, far too small for any human. Crawling through one of these hallways, the narrator finds the walls are lined with small wooden caskets like a crypt, but inside are humanoid lizard men.
Lizard men.
Catholics.
Capitalism?
What? When he comes across a large brass door, he opens it to find a wind, trying to suck him in. On the other side of the door is a portal where he sees these lizard men alive and tearing apart the last traveler that stumbled upon them. Quote, I compared myself shudderingly to the only other human image in that frightful corridor, the man who was being torn to pieces by the nameless race. For in the fiendish clawing of the swirling currents, there seemed to abide a vindictive rage, all the stronger because it was largely impotent. I mean, you discovered him. You can name him now. I am describing the indescribable. Let me describe it to you.
Just call it a lizard man.
I'm gonna be really fucking, like, deflated if
Fishman,
if
Lizard Man.
someday in the, someday in the future we're going to discover that there is a hollow earth and there is a humanoid race of lizards down there, and the scientists are like, the guy who comes up with it is a guy who was digging his well just a little too fucking deep, named Jim Bob, and they're like, well, what Latin name have you given them? Lizard Man. Like, well, what's the official name? You get to name your discovery, Lizard Man.
I mean, there are lizard men.
That's right. I do remember.
I'm not really following. So.
Yeah, I do remember hanging out with somebody who's going to go unnamed. Oh man, I'll tell you later. But you know who it is.
Sure okay, yeah, all right.
But
let's go with the bit. You're about one beer in right now. So if your judgment is saying no, we're not doing this, you're starting to slip, but your better judgment's grasping at you like, buddy, no. So I remember follow that voice, Jordan.
I remember him just being like, down with organized religion that's ripping off the people, man. Down with the Catholic Church, anyway. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, they're run by lizard people, and I was like, all right, same goal.
Ironically? No, literally.
Yeah, like same goal, different motives. Okay, like sure, why not? The door suddenly shuts tight, leaving the narrator in the dark. It's not a great tale, but it has the first mentions of the Necronomicon, the legendary Book of the Dead, which apparently has within it all mention of Lovecraft lore made manifest by the mad Arab All is red.
That's a terrible...
All is red. All is red.
Okay, before I dog on that, is that an actual...
Oh, that's him. That's him trying to come up with something that sounds...
It sounds like Arab. That. We're going to sound like assholes if we look it up and be like, oh, that's a common name.
I doubt it, but also, if it is a real name, look, it's a bad name. You should have went with something better. All I'm saying is it does sound like when they were asking Jack Kirby, back in the fucking 60s, hey, why don't you come up with an African name in an African nation? And he goes, oh, T'Challa from Wakanda. And it's like, okay, all right, you didn't do it. You should have just called it East Africa.
Hey man, or maybe, I don't know, if this is going to be the subject matter, maybe at least consult someone.
They asked two Jewish guys from the Bronx what to name black people like they've ever seen one. Are you kidding me?
Well, seen one in the Bronx, yeah, but
I'm not talking to them.
Guys, no.
All right, so it was only a handful of months after writing The Nameless City that Howard's mom, Sarah Lovecraft, received a gallbladder surgery in Butler Hospital, the complications of which led to her death 5 days later on May 24th, 1921. Once again, this gave Howard a mental break, of which he yet again felt living life had no meaning. This is number 4. Lovecraft eventually resumed his tour of writing conventions, hoping that they would eradicate him of his despair. It was at one of these conventions in Boston that he met Sonia Green 2 months after his mother's death. I do kind of...
We're good on battery, bro.
All right. I know. Just real scared now. It's just going to crap out. And
I know, dude.
The people at Guitar Center will be like, 45 days? No, I never said that. Well, fuck you.
Well, that's fine. I mean, you guys can just edit in the next one that you do. And no, we don't know how to do that. We're too dumb.
Fucking up every GarageBand file I make. No. Okay, there's 100.
We're going to present this if asked it's some kind of challenge thing to make it more raw that it's all one take, when in actuality we're just so scared of having to learn.
Yeah. Well, one take, man. Those guys are brave. No, we're stupid. we don't know how it works. No. We're not technology people at all.
We can get it into the Google search bar and then we just stare and drool.
Yeah, pretty much. We're gonna get a 7-minute YouTube video where I'm just gonna be like, it has all my answers, huh? Can it be shorter? I don't want
7 minutes. I'm going to be 4 beers deep by the end of that. I'm not going to retain any of this.
7 minutes? Do you know how many microwave burritos I could have made in that time? I do like.
My taquitos are done.
I do like though. Oh fuck, that sounds good. I want taquitos. Shit.
Yeah.
7-Eleven's got those nice little taquitos.
No, just go buy me some food. I'll make us some tacos.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
I love you. So I do like though that these amateur writing conventions, before Comic-Con was ever a thing, they've just got amateur, it's amateur writing. It's not even writing conventions. It's just people that are just hey, yeah, I just put the story together about the year 2000 and Mexicans have taken over the United States, and you want to read it? Like, yeah, I could really see some people just like, fuck, like, it can't be that great. Honestly, I've been to Comic-Cons that weren't great. Like,
Every Comic-Con isn't great.
have you been to a Comic-Con?
Yes.
It's great.
Several.
It's fantastic.
It's a giant nerd mall
Yes.
that has the same trinkets in every booth.
What's your
And you have
point?
to pay to enter the nerd mall to spend more money.
Look, I'm not going to find erotic posters of characters from Steven Universe
The fuck
anywhere
are you talking
else.
about? You have the
Anywhere
entire
else.
internet at your disposal. You can do that at literally any time.
I feel like that's half of Etsy is probably
What do you get off on you being at the booth at one of those artists so everybody can see you being weird?
Yes, because I'm brave. I'm a brave boy. I walk up and I say, I want the one of
That's not
Garnet
being brave.
sucking
That's
on...
just like involuntarily putting everyone into your fetish. You're like, yeah, now they're watching me do it.
Wait, my fetish? They're the ones that are offering art.
No, everyone around you at the convention, Jordan, not just the artist.
Everyone just grabs cards and they leave, and they're like, I'm gonna get this later. Like,
Yeah, can I just like?
you don't understand the thrill.
I do. I just don't want anyone to know I do.
I do remember one year somebody brought a fucking like trumpet, and then when the doors opened up finally, they did and like it was like, okay, that was pretty cool. Like,
I don't know, like I
it's a
remember
bunch
like,
of geeks. Yeah,
okay,
it's great.
No, but here's the thing. Then you've never been to like a bigger, cooler convention.
Then
Like Dragon Con in Atlanta is the tits. Okay, it's the tits, and you know why I think it's the tits, Jordan? Because when I went, I was like fucking 8, so I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And I'm sure if I went when I was 8 to Comic-Con, I would think the same thing.
I would not bring an 8-year-old to Comic-Con with all the erotic shit. That's sold. Fuck no. God no, dude. I remember I was just packing my bag.
Look away, Timmy.
I was just packing my bag next to this guy that did all cheesecake art, and he was like, "Hey, man," and I'm like, "Hey, nice art or whatever, you know."
Wait, cheesecake
and he, like big titted Wonder Woman type shit, like very, you know. And so he shows me one of those, and he's like, "Check this shit out," and I'm like, "Wow!" And like Nicole
Like,
came
well,
up.
oh my god, look, he made Power Girl even more ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, holy shit, I didn't think that was possible.
And Nicole came over and was like, "Hey, you know," and he was like, "Check this out," and she was like, "Wow," and he was like, and he looks at me and he's like,
the boldness. Let
he
me
was
show
like,
this.
he was like, "Do you think she can handle the Catwoman?" And I was like,
dude, I don't
Nicole,
think I
do you
can handle the
think?
Catwoman.
I was just like, Nicole, do you think you can handle the Catwoman? And he pulls it up, and what it is Catwoman lapping up milk on the ground with Batman holding her leash like taut. Like it was like, oh my. And I was like, how much is that? $20, huh? Boy, wish I had 20 on me.
Just like, wow, man, that's really interesting. How did you get into this?
Like I don't have hundreds of dollars in my wallet when I walk into a Comic-Con.
I'm
like
what do you
gosh,
even,
I guess
what
I'm
do you even
broke.
call that job? Like touring. Oh god.
A shill? I don't know. So anyways, he meets Sonia Green. Oh fuck, I didn't think about the fact that I thought that guy maybe lived in Seattle or something. No, he tours.
Yeah,
He goes across the country selling big titted women posters.
He's like, you could just, sell this online. That's not the point. Like, if
you don't have to show your face.
If I'm not there in person to make you uncomfortable, I don't want to do this.
But hey, you know what? Real recognizes real, all right? He was proud of what he did. It's not like the art was bad. It's just a bad decision. Like career-wise, maybe. I don't know. It was just but hey, good on you. He certainly wasn't
great.
ashamed.
No, you're very talented, and this is what you're doing with
and
that.
this is what you decided to do with that talent. So anyways, he meets Sonia Green at one of these conventions. Now, Sonia had been born March 16th, 1883, in what is now Ukraine, but by then was still the Russian Empire. She moved to America when she was 9 and later married another Russian immigrant when she was only 16 and her husband was 26. She had one son who died 3 months later and a daughter who didn't. After 16 years of wonderful, what was probably abusive, beautiful marriage, Sonia's husband took his own life. Using what money she had, Sonia started a new life in Brooklyn with her daughter, who promptly had enough of her mother's shit, moved out, and never spoke to Sonia again. It's kind of interesting that he was just like, oh, an immigrant woman. That's, exotic. I like it. A little strange. I don't know. Now,
That could have gone without mentioning. Move on.
I mean, I don't know how his penis works. I want to know how it works.
The same way every other one works.
How big do you
Move
think
along.
his Johnson is?
I don't know.
The crawling chaos.
I do not want to talk about H.P. Lovecraft's penis. At all.
What do you think it smelled like? So Lovecraft's only remaining family at this point were his two creepy aunts, his mom's sisters. And they saw the once married, 7 years his senior, daughter estranging Sonia Green as bad news for little Howie. But despite Sonia coming from a Jewish family even, they actually did great. They married March 3rd, 1924. Howard was 33, she was 40. Nice.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Lovecraft moved into Sonia's Brooklyn apartment at her insistence while she operated her hat shop. And Lovecraft loved New York, besides the minorities. There's actually a story of this, and you did mention it. He was more racist than the racist back then. There was a story about him, and I think either a friend or Sonia, walking by just, two Asians, just, there they were speaking English in Brooklyn, walking by. He walks by them.
Whoa!
And he is, visibly shaking with rage. And they're just like, buddy, I hate them too, but calm down. He's just, if he was a weightlifter, he would be dangerous.
Look, man, look, we're all openly racist here, but you're just making us seem unreasonable.
Yeah. Look, I make fun of them all the time, but come on. They got to get from one Chinese restaurant to the next Korean grocery store. They got to do this. All right? That's their whole life.
As I know.
I mean, clearly. I mean, look, we'll make fun of them behind their back, but don't shake with rage. That's weird.
Yell a slur and move on.
Yeah. Just push them,
buddy. That's
You're
not
fine.
how we do it.
Just push them. You're white.
I don't want to dwell in this hole, Jordan. I don't like it in here. Let's move on.
Now, despite this, Lovecraft did manage to find friends in Brooklyn. As I'm sure it wasn't too hard to find people in the 20s that wouldn't mind you being a horrendous racist. Now, this group of friends were a small collective of published authors deeming themselves the Kalem Club. Kalem, like Salem, but with a K. And I could not figure out why they called themselves that. No record. Don't know.
Yeah,
and they encouraged Lovecraft to make the leap from the smaller journals he was writing to Weird Tales magazine, which was new, but struggling. It was during this time that the newly-wed Lovecraft family ran into financial troubles themselves. Sonia's hat shop wasn't doing so well, so she had to close its doors, leaving her no choice but to pick up business opportunity in Cleveland. Oh, there it is.
You alright?
Oh, yeah.
Do you need a second?
No, it's all belching. Nothing to worry about. Their Brooklyn apartment was too much for Lovecraft to pay on his own, so he moved to a dockside area of New York called Red Hook. It was, and still is, a dirty little area at one point called the crack capital of America in the 90s. It hasn't really changed that much, it seems.
I don't know, have you been there?
I don't want to. They would not like my weight, my jovialness, or my color.
Well, I'm just saying.
I'm clearly not there to buy crack.
Look, man.
I weigh too much.
Look, man, any gnarly ghettos I tell you about them because I've been there, you son of a bitch, and I've seen it myself, and I know.
Go to Red Hook.
Challenge accepted.
All right.
Are you going to fund this?
Nicole's going to hate that you're crashing, anniversary trips and shit. Just by the way, Caleb's coming. What?
We have to send him to Red Hook for a point. And we have to fund this. It's for the two listeners.
Yes, we're going to Ellis Island together. Yes, we're going to be looking up his family's name in the book. Yes, we're going to get some great Chinese food. But also, I want to see maybe Caleb getting stabbed. Now, I don't think Puerto Ricans went through Ellis Island. Sorry. Anyway.
What are you fucking talking about?
I said looking your name up in the book.
Oh,
at
God
Ellis
damn
Island.
It. That's the stabbiest of the stabby.
Man, you'll get along great in Scotland. With no real work experience, Lovecraft had to try and support himself with low-level, low-paying clerical jobs that he never really held on to for very long. Gee, I wonder what their fucking issue with the guy was. But he still published stories in Weird Tales, continuing his long-running Dream Cycle stories, as well as editorial letters criticizing other writers, like a guy named Farnsworth Wright. Weird Tales, still struggling themselves, decided to make a last-ditch effort to save the magazine by hiring a new editor. Their first choice was a writer they saw a lot of promise in, H.P. Lovecraft. But not wanting to move to Chicago, he respectfully declined. So they went with their second choice, none other than Farnsworth Wright, the guy he's been bitching about. Now, Lovecraft wasn't Farnsworth's only enemy. He was also on bad terms with Robert E. Howard, creator of Conan the Barbarian, and Lovecraft's good friend Clark Ashton Smith. All three of these guys would continue having trouble publishing in Weird Tales until Farnsworth retired from his position in 1940. Or rather, it was Clark Ashton Smith's problem at that point. Robert E. Howard and H.P. Lovecraft were already dead then. Anyway, Farnsworth would end up passing on such stories as The Shadow over Innsmouth, At the Mountains of Madness, and, in Robert E. Howard's case, deciding not to publish some of the earliest stories in the Conan the Barbarian series, back when he was still called Conan the Crimean. Not a good look for old Farnsworth.
I've got this great name, Conan the Crimean.
Oh, a foreigner. It starts to become evident that all these times that Lovecraft becomes super depressed because of a quote-unquote low point in his life is actually just his regular-ass life, because his life fucking sucked. Now, while Lovecraft was out
the
one
points
day...
is just like one solid low line, and then abysmal, and then back to the low line.
Pretty much.
Like,
Mariana Trench of fucking suck.
just BAM!
While Lovecraft was out one day, he came back to his apartment in Red Hook to find everything stolen, literally. He now only owned the clothes he was wearing. This prompted him to write a story called The Horror at Red Hook, which was fueled by his overt racism and anger at what he assumed were immigrants that stole his shit. Basically about a detective investigating disappearances in Red Hook and, of course, coming across cultists. Now, Lovecraft, and I gotta say though, this is... I feel like that's something that was definitely perpetuated by his grandpappy Whipple. Right? I mean...
Yeah, I know. I'm glad that there's like a cultist thing going on, because for a second there I thought it was going to be like he writes all this other scary cosmic horror, and then he's just like,
and it was because they were black.
No,
like,
no, and then and then just in another story that he thinks is scary, he's just like Puerto Ricans, like a city of them.
They don't go no more north than Virginia.
Okay, so we got fish people, lizard people, and then Puerto Rico. Like,
yeah, I mean,
like, yeah, that's terrifying. What do you...
I mean, to be fair, he doesn't have the fucking... Nobody has the internet. It's like what we learn about other cultures is what other people tell us is there. And in his case, to not talking to fucking anyone unless they're Anglo-Saxon or his grandpappy. And Grandpa Whipple is out there just like, I got this egg out of the ass of a Chinaman. They lay him over there. You know, like, he doesn't fucking know. So he really thinks that there are cults out there just like, oh, look at that guy. Asian? And probably a murderer.
Yeah, they just put a bunch of racist shit in a pot and then threw it in a dark room for 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just let it simmer. Like,
well,
fester.
Let it percolate. Ooh. Well, it's getting spicier.
Oh, yeah. This is coming along. This is going to be a real great big piece of shit.
This is this nice little kimchi of racism that we're building here. Kimchi? Get him out!
Stop it. Stop.
Now, Lovecraft was hoping to make a little extra money on his story this time around because he had nothing now. So he hoped to sell the story of The Horror at Red Hook to a detective magazine because they pay better than Weird Tales. At the time, at the time, sci-fi stories were a lesser caste than detective novels. So he wanted to set the story away from the rest. How would he do it? Bravely, he would make the main character a foreigner, something that would be highly productive for the time. He made the detective Irish.
How brave.
He was never able...
Respect is back, everybody.
He was never able to peddle the story to any detective magazine, so he just ended up selling it to Weird Tales. Lovecraft later wrote...
Can you believe he's Irish? We're all Irish.
I shouldn't have put in that fucking leprechaun joke. Holy shit. Lovecraft later wrote, "My coming to New York has been a mistake. Unhappy with his life in New York, Lovecraft moved back to Providence in 1926. I believe at this point Sonia Green, though, is still in Chicago. The stress and I'm sure his poor finances lost him 40 pounds in just 9 months.
Oh, he was already tiny, right?
I gotta go on the fucking Lovecraft
Or are there pictures
diet.
of fat Lovecraft? That'd be great.
Oh, that would be... Oh, dude, are you kidding me? We talked about this last episode with, chubby little Gregory Peck, and it's like, dude's like 150. Like...
Oh, God, that makes me feel terrible.
I know, I gotta go on the Lovecraft diet. I just gotta be poor and just shake at the sight of other races. It's gonna be really hard when Nicole comes home and I'm just like...
We'll throw you in a low-budget isolation chamber.
A little bunch of isolation.
Just
chamber.
lock.
You're just gonna fucking dunk my head under the water of the bathtub. Just.
But come out. Pretend you're not back. All right, go.
It's like a dream, right? But it was in the same year of 1926, in the summer, Lovecraft would launch his career into, for some people literally, godhood. This is the story Call of Cthulhu. By the way, Houdini was a fan of Lovecraft's work, but he died before he could have read this story, which kind of sucks, honestly. Lovecraft even collaborated. He collaborated with him once.
He was a fan of the stuff, but all the bad stuff.
Do more about the Mexicans, H.P. Lovecraft. Like,
fuck.
They actually collaborated once and wrote a story called Imprisoned with the Pharaohs. And let me just say this real quick. The pronunciation for Cthulhu is hotly debated, but I'm stupidly going to put myself in the middle of the shit. But basically, Lovecraft gave a different pronunciation every fucking time he was interviewed. But the whole goddamn point is that the name sounds guttural and unnatural, but it sounds stupid to call it Call of Cthulhu. Like, that's how he would pronounce it. He was like, it was supposed to be guttural, and it's a sound that humans can't make.
If he did it like that, looking at the guy, and somebody asked him about it, and he made that noise, they'd be like, yeah, that makes sense.
You are ugly. You
would think that would, go into a normal human conversation.
It's Call of Cthulhu. Anyway, I'm not fucking doing it.
Just say, yeah.
I'm going to Anglo-Saxon it.
We're just going to do Cthulhu, right? Like, it's
every way you say it is incorrect, anyways, because you don't speak the language of the great old ones. You fuckbase. All right.
Yeah. I mean, it's just if you say anything besides Cthulhu, it's the same vibe as when you're speaking completely normally, and then you're ordering at a restaurant where the menu is not in English, and then you try to do that.
Oh,
as
dude.
best as you can.
I feel so bad really every time I'm at a Thai place, and it's like, look, man, just call it,
just own it,
angel hair pasta. Like, I'll have the. Oh man, it says cum. Like there are things that are like cum, cum d something or whatever, and every time I'm just like cum d,
You're just at a Mexican restaurant. Yeah, I'll have the fajitas. Thank you very much, and then continue like talking completely normally, like.
Yes, please. I'd like the nachos.
And you can, and then you can always like whoever you're with that pulls that shit. You can always see the waiter who 100% speaks Spanish, just like wince and be like, "Dude, just say nacho. Like, it's cool. I don't fucking care. It's not your first. Like, you don't have to do it. Like."
Dude, one time when we were visiting Nicole's folks not her folks, but her family in the Philippines, we had a stopover in Narita, Japan, and I go up to the McDonald's thing. And I'm just like practicing it in my head this whole time. I'm like, I know how to say I'll have 2 number 1s with Coke. I know how to say this. And as soon as I get there,
the girl, 2 number 1s, you fat fuck.
Yeah, well, no, I was ordering for somebody else, please.
No, you weren't.
I was too.
Don't you backpedal, you fat piece of shit.
Shut up. This is a low point in my life. No.
Wait a minute. These are 2 non-American portions. I need 4.
Like, 1 for each of my breasts. And don't forget the 2 on my back. So I go up there. The girl at the McDonald's counter like looks up at me and then just like moves over, and then a guy walks up and I say it in Japanese, which I'm not going to do here. And I say it in Japanese, and he was like,
"Okay, man."
Yeah, and he was like, "What size did you want on the Coke?" And I'm like, "Smalls, please." Like, just oh fuck, that was
dude,
embarrassing.
Don't, man, don't.
I tried.
I get on you, and that's a lesson that you have to learn just through practice, usually.
I did, because my Japanese teachers lied to me and everyone else in the fucking suburbs classroom and said that Japanese people, practically everyone knows English. They do not. I went off of that when Nicole and I had our honeymoon in Tokyo, and dude, nobody speaks it. Like, nobody fucking speaks it. I had to pretend to urinate in front of a guy to say bathroom, because I was saying bathroom incorrectly, and he was like, I don't know what you're saying, and I'm just like, fuck it. And I just like fake pissed on the street, and he goes, oh, yeah. And he like pointed me inside. I'm like, okay, thank you. Like, fuck. So I learned my fucking lesson. Anyway, so Francis Thurston is a man looking over his recently deceased great uncle's things. This is called a Cthulhu now.
Okay.
He was a professor of languages at Brown University named George Engel, who dies of a heart attack after running into, quote, a nautical-looking Negro.
Don't bend it! That is in the forbidden words!
I bent it.
Don't bend it. No. That's, no.
I'm gonna be fair. That was before they started calling anybody colored or anything.
Sick. Well, it's 2021, and you're not gonna fucking do that anymore.
Just saying.
No, I swear to God. No. You've had 2 warnings. Next time that happens, I don't care. What are we in right now? 120.
Oh, fuck.
All right?
All right.
Next time it happens, I don't care if we're at 230. It's...
Just spank me. That's all I've been looking for this whole time.
I only want to do that if I'm in a good mood. Okay?
I like it better when you're in a bad mood.
Yeah, but it's performative. Move on!
Next. Francis finds... nautical looking. Francis finds among his great Uncle George's things a mess of a statuette that depicts some sort of figure that's like a cross between a man, an octopus, and a dragon. Basically, it's just a little statuette of Cthulhu. We all know what he looks like. We've seen the fucking art. Move on.
Didn't Lovecraft actually like make a drawing of it that was like super lame or something?
Oh, fuck.
Or is that an internet lie?
Oh, I want to see it. I don't know. I haven't heard that. I'd love to see it, though. We're going to look for it after this.
It's very funny. It's like,
I'm sure his drawings are shit.
He wrote, actually. He drew a description of it, and you look at it, and it's just like...
it's just him with fucking, like, tentacles coming out. He's got the fucking anime eyes because he didn't go past...
It does look like he's sitting on a fucking toilet, like, sparingly.
That. Yes. Like, yeah. I've seen that. Yeah. That's what the statuette
like
is
dealing with
supposed
a
to look
hemorrhoidal
like.
shit. Like...
Yeah,
man.
That's the statuette. That is actually what that is.
It's beautiful.
Don't look at me. Stop carving.
How deep do I have to go before you won't find me?
The statue was made by an art student named Henry Wilcox, who was inspired by dreams of a sunken monolithian city dripping with ooze. These nightmares occurred on the same night an earthquake was felt throughout the city. Upon investigation, it turns out there have been people all around the world with similar visions that night, with some people being driven mad. People attacked the police in New York in a huge angry mob. A group of people in California all have the same vision and wait for the end of days. A group of cultists celebrate with bonfires in Louisiana. And it's here in the swamps of New Orleans that a man named Inspector Legrasse conducts a raid on a supposed voodoo cult, and where he finds among their belongings another bas-relief resembling Wilcox's. You see, Legrasse is out looking for women and children who have gone missing from local shanty towns. Well, he finds them here with the cultists, and it seems although they've probably been tortured, they act the same as the cultists now. As the police make their attack on the cultists, ultimately killing 5 and arresting 47, the cultists chant to themselves...
Don't. Oh, ooh, you're charging up for something real rough.
Veneguli muglu naf Cthulhu relea wagan nagel fatagen. Meaning, of course.
I don't want to hear this shit if I'm not looking at Bruce Campbell at the same time, okay? Come on.
In his house at Relea, dead Cthulhu waits dreaming.
Sick.
Yeah. He's an ideas man.
Wow, I'm so glad people are going to do something with this idea later that aren't you.
Again, I am happy to tell people I've read through all of his work so that you don't have to.
Yeah,
he is not a good writer, but his ideas were phenomenal at the time. We will get to that too, but no.
Yeah, I can't. I can't get through.
He's just not good.
It's not engaging at all.
No.
Like,
if you put yourself in the time of, like, this is just a small magazine where people are mostly writing about vampires and shit, and then this guy fucking steps on, yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah, no, the idea is you're like, more interesting themselves, but then you're just going to use that as fuel to do something cool. Or whatever. Like,
basically, so many people have been inspired by Lovecraft at this point. You don't really need to read Lovecraft shit anymore. Better stuff has been made.
Yeah.
These cultists, reveal that they worship the Great Old Ones, and that they're celebrating the fact that Cthulhu is beginning to stir. Okay, it's working again. Okay, good. I took a quick break there just because Caleb started like pointing down towards his dick, and I'm like, I don't know what this is. Like, I'm like, I don't know if this is a joke you're making about.
Like, no, we're running low on battery, and I don't know how this machine works.
Yeah, you're just telling me to get the charger. It's like, I don't know if you have to pee. I don't know if you're calling your penis the Great Old One. I don't know what you're doing.
Scamper, get the charger. Go.
I am Dagon.
No penis, man.
So anyways, these cultists in Louisiana, these people reveal that they worship the Great Old Ones, and that they're celebrating the fact that Cthulhu is beginning to stir. They identify the bas-relief as Cthulhu himself. The one cultist remarks, "That is not dead, which can eternal lie, and with strange eons, even death may die." What do you think that means?
I think I hate Metallica.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me dibba dabba da. Yeah. What it means is he's trying to be mysterious, but he's still not that great of a writer. Anyway. After this encounter, Inspector Legrasse takes the small statuette to a meeting of the American Archaeological Society in St. Louis, where a professor of anthropology at Princeton says that he ran into a group of Eskimos all the way back in 1860 during an expedition in Greenland. Is that racist now? Is it Eskimo?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that just does not come up, so
yeah,
I have not kept track of that.
Since when have you ran into...
I don't know, say... Yeah.
They're technically just cold Native Americans, aren't they?
I don't know. I don't know. And the further we dig into this, the worse it's going to get. So just...
on second thought, it's not that bad to call that... No.
Nope. We're going to go with we don't know. And we're sorry.
So, yes, apologies all around. But to be fair, I don't need to put the trigger warning for racism if you're clicking on an H.P. Lovecraft episode.
I mean, you probably should.
I don't know. Maybe. I didn't for Harper Lee because I was like, yeah, I think that rape is jarring. I think that
I told you, we need to go back and we need to have the trigger warning be, because it's rape right now. Rape, Alabama.
Anytime Alabama.
And that should be like, oh, fuck, all right, I know exactly what we're doing. Harper Lee, trigger warning, Alabama. Like,
it's shitty, but when I thought on it, I was just like, the racism is going to show up for pretty much every single author on here because they're all dead, one. And honestly, racism is unfortunately so part of everyday life. You don't get a warning now. Like, it's still going to continue when you step out the door.
I mean, yeah, no, it doesn't matter. We should. But anyway.
But either way.
Go on.
So these cold Native American people, all the way back in 1860, during an expedition in Greenland, these people chanted the same message as the cultists in New Orleans in present-day 1926. So it's been fucking 66 years later, and it's the exact same phrase, and they're practically a hemisphere apart. Which takes us back to where we began, with Sir Francis Thurston reading over all of this at his great-uncle's estate, where he was jostled by a nautical-looking man, right? And... where he then comes across an article...
You're still not redeemed. You're not redeemed. Go on.
He comes across an article there in the study. Sometime last year in 1925, an abandoned ship was found drifting out at sea. On it was a Norwegian sailor named Gustav, driven mad, and a dead fucking body. And apparently it wasn't even the ship they left port on, so they completely changed boats, and then they show up. Everyone's gone except for one dead guy and another guy who's just like, it wasn't me. So, I guess what Gustav described as happening was that they were attacked by men on that boat that they rode in on. Some group of Pacific Islanders that were armed to the fucking teeth. The Norwegian crew fought and killed their assailants, but not without having their own boat destroyed. The men then made their way to an uncharted island on this foreign boat, and all he could say about the rest of the missing crew is that they died on the island. Thurston travels to Norway to see if he can get the full scoop from the remaining sailor. Unfortunately, Gustav's wife says that he, too, died from a good jostling from a nautical-looking man. However, she does provide him with a manuscript written by the man detailing what really happened on the island. The Norwegian man, not the other one. Apparently, the island wasn't barren like the crew expected.
You could just say black man.
Why does he need to be black, Caleb?
Shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying.
No. I want to hear you describe why it's important.
No, don't you do this to me. Don't you fucking do this to me 3 beers in.
Turns out we're actually talking about Sigmund Freud this whole time.
Oh, just fuck up.
Tell me about your mother.
You just next page. All right, settle in. Like
Carl Jung was born on. But apparently the island wasn't barren like the crew expected. The whole place was like a city made from nightmares. Buildings that didn't make sense. The geometry as we know it shouldn't allow them to exist. When the sailors climb the structures, they can't tell if they're walking vertically or horizontally, maybe diagonally. Their minds just can't process it. And as they crawl through the mud and seaweed-wrapped columns, they come to a gigantic wall, and it begins to split open. It's actually a monolithic door. As the crew runs off the island, Cthulhu emerges and gives chase, not needing to take more than a step or two before making it to the ocean. In that time, the crew is picked off one by one by the monstrous beast until only Gustav and one other sailor are left. As they sail out to sea, they find that Cthulhu is still giving chase, his feet reaching the bottom of the ocean and stumbling after their boat, his head just above water. Quote, "Whilst on the masonry of that charnel shore, there was not of earth the Titan thing from the stars slavered and gibbered like Polypheme cursing the fleeing ship of Odysseus. Then, bolder than the storied Cyclops, great Cthulhu slid greasily into the water and began to pursue with vast wave-rising strokes of cosmic potency." We got all greasy down in there.
Slid all greasily into the...
Actually, he's Norwegian, so I should have said, "Whilst on the masonry of that charnel shore."
Stop it. No.
Those are my people. It's okay.
It still sounds like trash.
Yeah, I know.
Now that I will hold on to.
Fuck your lutefisk. In an act of kamikaze desperation, Gustav spins the boat around and charges straight for Cthulhu's head, knowing they'll never shake him anyway. I don't know why he would thought. Yeah, I don't know why he thought that. Also, if he's gone mad and he's just like, yes, like Polypheme after Odysseus, and like, fuck you.
That's pretty wild. Like how the fuck do you? I mean, if he's like on your tail, how the fuck do you have enough time to turn an entire fucking boat around?
Well, I guess you have to work like if his legs are reaching the bottom of the ocean, he's like the size of a mountain. He's got to have like. That like there's so much pressure under there. Probably takes him a while to like sludge it up. Wouldn't
he just like
fucking
get to
step.
You like mid turn?
Yeah.
Like I mean, we're not talking about like a little like.
Well, we don't know what kind of boat it is. This is some Pacific Islander Filipino boat. So I imagine it's like a fucking pontoon. But then why would you like? I'm stirring this bitch around.
Like, I don't. Is it like in a little motorboat? I don't know. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
It just seems
they had to have fit like fucking 5 guys on it at one point.
I don't know.
Sailors switched
all I know is the Lovecraft. Clearly.
Love clap.
Lovecraft was clearly never on a boat because he's scared of the ocean, so he doesn't know.
I don't know how boats work. So somehow they managed to plow through Cthulhu's head, which explodes like a big slushy mess. But as the boat slips away into the fog, Gustav turns around to see Cthulhu's head reforming above the water. At some point before Gustav's rescue...
And he's pissed.
His cabin mate goes insane and dies of prolonged shock. Yeah.
Okay.
Having read the whole story and now being caught up to what his great-uncle knows, Francis realizes his Uncle George was never involved in these stories himself, but merely a spectator to other people's writings, and yet he was still murdered by a cult looking to keep their god a secret, knowing they're still out there. The story ends with Francis knowing that he's a target too. Oh no! It's no question. Call of Cthulhu is H.P. Lovecraft's most famous work, but when he finished it, he pretty much just said, "Eh." Good old Farnsworth Wright over at Weird Tales straight out rejected it, hoping Lovecraft would just throw the story away. Because remember, they're enemies. He called this shit trash. And Lovecraft actually pretty much shared this sentiment. But one of Lovecraft's buddies got a hold of the tale and saw it for what it really was. Pissed that Weird Tales would dare reject the story, he wrote a letter to Farnsworth pretending to be Lovecraft, saying he would take Call of Cthulhu elsewhere. Because of that little nudge, Farnsworth reluctantly accepted the story, and was published in the February edition of Weird Tales in 1928. And people fucking loved it. This was a new style of horror, where before, you had main characters that just so happened to have a career in something that would help them. A scientist, an archaeologist, whatever. Call of Cthulhu would launch a series of stories where the main character is a true everyman. Old, young, crippled, they're fucking farmers, they're fishermen, they're just people. Even all the stories before Lovecraft that had just regular everyday people in it would face off against something where victory was surely attainable. You've got wolfmen, vampires, demons, all killable.
Fun shit.
Yeah, and all are usually linked to Christianity in some way, which proves God exists. You know, they're curses. Like, that's how you get a fucking vampire, is you show him that you're Catholic, and he goes, no, you know, and shit like that. It's really stupid. But yeah, curses imply that it goes against God. For Lovecraft, he would prey on the idea that there are much bigger things happening in the universe than just us and our little religions. There are real, physical beings that are just having a fucking power nap on the bottom of the goddamn ocean, and they will wake up. When they do, it'll annihilate mankind. Not because they hate us, but because they don't care. There is no preparation anyone can make to survive this. There literally is no way to win. The universe is bigger than humans. We're nothing. And these creatures sit on thrones made of shapes our human minds can't even imagine inventing. And you know that thing about mantis shrimp, right? Like, we have just 3 color receptors in our eyes. Mantis shrimp have 12. What's to stop a color from coming out of space, turning our world upside down? And that's the thing. Previous horror stories had the hero face the threat directly. In subsequent Lovecraft stories, the main character would sometimes not even see the creature. They'd find something that describes it, and know that that's what they've been hearing in the walls the whole time. In fact, in instances where the main character does see the monster, their brains oftentimes can't make sense of what they're seeing and are irreparably driven insane and oftentimes commit suicide as a result. Furthermore, old horror stories took place out in places where people have no fucking business being. Like, you don't have a reason to be out in fucking Transylvania. Fuck you. Most of Lovecraft's stories took place in Massachusetts. When asked why, he said it's because Puritans are so fucking creepy.
Yeah, alright.
So, that's where we're going to end it this time. And, yeah, that's part 1 of Lovecraft. We will be doing a second part, obviously. We haven't even gotten to fucking some of his most famous work. We pretty much went down his shitty stories up to the greats right now.
Yeah, none of the fun stuff.
And we will be getting into a lot of it that's going to just fucking tailspin, and we will get over into all of his phobias, because there is a list. It's an enjoyable list.
His whole life is just being scared. What are you talking about? Like,
man, fucking
scared of the stars, scared of the ocean, scared of brown people.
I just want to go back in time and give him a box set of Goosebumps, just to watch him just shit his fucking pants.
Yeah, no. All shit's fucking stupid. Let's go play Bloodborne.